Hey guys, how's it going? Sorry I haven't been able to upload in a while. I hope that's okay. So the topic of today's video, and I'm not sure if you were able to catch the LinkedIn/YouTube community post I wrote about it, is most useful things that I've bought to increase productivity. And this is a list of about 7 or 8 things. Many of them will apply to you, specifically data science, machine learning, programming people. Most of that is for you. Also, the general student, just kind of learning about things. You're in university or college, and you're doing, say, interviews or like writing tests, then a lot of that will be there as well. And just for the general user. Now, note there is a couple things, like this is the list of things that I've bought to increase productivity, so there would be a lot of overlap with you. There's a couple things that you probably don't need, like I said, a Blue Yeti mic. You don't really need like a really good mic. You just need something so that people can hear you, but we'll get into those details when it matters. Okay, so the first thing I wrote on the list is great laptop, get a GPU if you can. So if you can. If you think you can afford it relatively safely, then try and pick out a computer, whether it's a laptop or a bigger computer, desktop computer. Try and get a GPU if you can. If you can't, seriously, don't put that much stress on it, because you can always just use Google Colab if you're writing Python code and trying to train machine learning models or do analytics. You can do most of this stuff on the cloud nowadays. And there's actually a bonus to this, is it actually forces you to get used to doing cloud stuff. And the more that you do locally, it's not that in jobs we don't ever do stuff locally, often you do, but a lot of the time now we do cloud-based stuff where everything's over the internet. And it's good to force yourself to get used to those things if you can. And honestly, they're fine. Like if you want to know the answer to like, do you need a GPU if you want to train models? I know a lot of you are asking that question. Almost all of the time, no. For my last job, yes, we did. We needed, it was useful that I had a laptop that it has an RTX 3060 GPU, if you happen to care. It works pretty well, but also we needed something better. I should probably make a video later about, the complex details about the GPU stuff, what you really need. But the answer is really always like, just fix a budget. Maybe go like slightly outside of it if you need to. Like don't just, be super strict on it. Like, oh, this laptop's like $20 more outside my budget, but it's worth it. If it's worth it, definitely try and do it if you can. But only get what you need. Say 8 to 16 gigabytes of RAM is good enough. I wouldn't go lower than that. Try and get an SSD instead of a hard drive if you can. And I would probably recommend 512 gigabytes of a hard drive or SSD and above if you can. Getting 256 gigabyte drives is pretty small, and even just Windows or Mac itself starts to take up a lot of space. So I would try to get half a terabyte and above. I love having a terabyte drive. It is extremely useful, and I just don't have to worry about space. So that's basically the conversation I'm going to have today about the laptop computer conversation. If you do have more questions there, feel free to drop a comment or request that I talk about it a little bit more. Okay, so the second on the list is, I said Blue Yeti mic. This is a Blue Yeti. Not sure if you've heard of it. It's people consider it to be a good mic, but not a great mic. It's about like $100 worth. You can definitely spend a lot more than that. The point being, most of you probably don't care. Shut up, Greg. Stop talking about your mic. Basically, you do want to have something where people can hear you well. And to be honest, like it does actually kind of matter. Like definitely that they hear you well. But also, I'll talk about later, I have a camera. Make sure that your setup is, at least decent. It doesn't have to be amazing by any means, but they need to be able to hear you crisply. Everything's not like crackling and cutting out. Your video quality should be at least so they can see, the color of your eyes. If they can't tell that, then, whatever. It's not a huge deal. But those communication type things like mic and camera, make sure that you have one at least, and make sure that you got that audio setup figured out, because you're going to be doing a lot of calls, and make sure, no matter what you do, it's really useful. So noise canceling headphones, I wrote huge for living with roommates because, sometimes there's noises wherever I go, and so that helps me out a lot. I wonder if you ever hear anything through the mic. I don't know. But yeah, if you can afford them, anything with active noise canceling is really, really nice. Like, especially if you are ever having trouble sleeping because of noises. You can also do kind of earplugs, but it's also unsafe. You need to make sure that you can hear the fire alarm. And that's why, you have to be careful. But things to block out noise are really, really nice. Like these, I'm not listening to any music or whatever. They're just on, and it mutes a lot of different sound. If you happen to care what they are, it's the Sony is there an H in there? WXM4s. I don't know. Probably a lot of you know what I'm talking about. They're pretty expensive headphones, way more than most people should spend on headphones, but they are very good if you can. I wrote base iPad with Stylus, not the Apple Pen. Get a cheaper one off Amazon. I hardly ever write on paper now. So basically, the base iPad is about 400 Canadian dollars, and it's really good. It's fast, it's snappy. It doesn't lag, unless you're doing something like really complicated, but it doesn't lag. And it allows you to not have to write on paper. So I love writing, by the way. At least I used to. I've done a lot more computer stuff recently. But for school especially, if you're a student, definitely try and get an iPad with a stylus. And I'll put a link into an Amazon link in the description for what I'm talking about in the stylus. Actually, I have it right here. I don't have the iPad here. This thing, right? Oh, I do have the iPad here. So basically, I have this base iPad at this Starry Night theme as well. Base iPad, I think it's like 8th gen, 7th or 8th gen, fairly recent. And this stylus that is about, what is it, like $30, $40 off of Amazon. It's really, really good. And it allows you to write on the iPad. You don't ever have to use paper. It means, and it's not that paper is a bad thing, it's that it's so convenient. Like if I wake up and I feel like studying right away, I'll literally just grab my iPad and start writing on it. Whereas, normally if you wanted to get up and moving with those things, you'd have to, okay, like I have to get up, so I'm probably gonna have a shower, I'm gonna do a morning routine, which is not at all a bad thing. Like, of course you should be doing those things, but it means that there's a lot of stuff in the way sometimes of you doing work. It's very convenient. Like if I was late at night, the lights are off, you can just write stuff on the iPad. I really, really like that. And if you are like me, creating content, I haven't used it in a while. Probably many of you want me to be using that again, so I'll try to get back to that. It's also very useful as well to display things. So what is next on the list? Sorry, I locked my phone. Fast smartphone. Oh, okay, I locked my phone. I'm talking about my phone. Fast smartphone. I'm currently using a Samsung S20 FE. So the FE is like called Fan Edition. It's basically between, if you're familiar with the Samsung Galaxy series, it's like S20, S21. I think they just released S22. I could be wrong. But basically the FE is between that. Doesn't matter. You probably don't care about that. Again, stop talking about your phone, Greg. The point is that you should have a phone that works pretty fast if you can. It's useful for a lot of different things. I would be using it more than you for sure. Like I'm constantly posting like Facebook, LinkedIn. I was about to say Twitter. I really don't post on Twitter that often, although I should be. If you're not following me on Twitter, go to the link in the description. Follow me on Twitter. If you do follow me on Twitter, maybe I'll post there more often. Who knows? So basically, now I have a tangent and I lost my thought. So basically, yeah, so a phone. So a fast phone, you want that because you're just going to be using it a lot. Even just talking to people, your friends, it'll be a lot faster if you can get a faster phone. I put it off for a long time. Like I kept trying to get something that's, decent-ish, but also on a big budget. And that's fine. Like, so for example, the Xiaomi, I hope that's how you say it, the one with the X, Xiaomi phones. I bought so many of them. My family's bought so many of them. It's because they're very fast. And I mean the cheaper ones, like the Xiaomi Redmi series, which is like a few $100 versus, they have like $1,000 phones as well. I've never bought one of those. But basically the point here is that, don't skimp too much on a phone. Make sure that it actually loads stuff quickly, because I do. What's even more convenient than the iPad is just, I'm always on my phone. if I wanted to start reading an article. People have perfected these things so that you can view most things very well on a phone. The one exception is PDFs. Adobe's doing a pretty good job. They have this mode where you can, I don't know, it's like liquid mode or something. I don't know if you've heard of it, where basically it'll kind of see what's on the screen and it's going to try and blow it up and maybe remove some of the stuff to make it look good. So with the exception of PDFs, most things will view very well on a phone. And there's so many different apps, I'm sure you know. Don't skimp on a phone. Make sure that you get something that works really well. It really helped me out. And of course, I'm not ever advising you to just start buying things. Like, there's so many things on this list that you definitely don't need. And don't spend any more than you have to. Please, please, please. But a fast phone, like if you can afford it, please get a fast phone. Next on the list, I wrote great camera. You probably don't need one. Yeah, you probably don't. So something that looks good, something that looks this good, probably not necessary. I wrote tripod, green screen. Yeah, I mean, this is a green screen. I'm not wearing glasses, so maybe you can see this or not. No, I won't do it. That's fine. This is a green screen. It's literally just a green wall, and it makes the filter. You probably don't need that. There's like software where you can use Microsoft Teams, or like Zoom has like kill your background or whatever, change your background, blur it. You're probably fine. Lights, I wrote lights because, yeah, that's something I need. You really don't need extra lights. And finally on this list, I wrote software such as Adobe Premiere. Yeah, I said you also likely don't need this, but maybe other Creative Cloud products. So Adobe has, they have Creative Suite. They have a bunch of different things, absolute monopoly of creative software. And it really is good. Like, there is, of course, like you can... maybe you do need to do video editing every now and then for a course. There's different options. For a while, I was using this other software called VideoPad, and I guess VideoPad's never going to sponsor me after making this video. Adobe Premiere is so much better. And especially if you do have kind of a better computer, it will be able to utilize those things. And like a GPU, if you're curious, it actually uses the same thing that that TensorFlow uses, called CUDA, CUDA, in NVIDIA things, so that things can run faster, models can train faster. Adobe Premiere can, I actually don't know exactly what it's doing, but yeah, graphical based stuff of like moving, like linear algebra, geometry, basically. Okay, so if you can get it, then Adobe stuff would be quite helpful. You don't need the whole suite necessarily. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I don't need, but maybe there's some stuff that you do want, like making Photoshop, for example. Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anything else right now, but that's the list. So just as a quick summary, great laptop, a good enough microphone, noise canceling headphones if you can, base iPad and stylus if you're a student, please get that. A fast enough smartphone, great camera, good enough camera. Tripod, probably not. Green screen and lights, probably not. Software such as Adobe Premiere, Creative Cloud products, definitely would recommend some of them when you need them. If you don't think you need them, then just don't get it. Okay, I hope you liked that video. Again, yeah, I feel like you're probably subscribed to me if you're watching this video, so I'm not going to ask you to subscribe, but follow me on Twitter. Do it. It's in the description. Just do it for fun. And LinkedIn. Hey, probably most of you are following me on LinkedIn. If you're not, you have to do that. Okay, bye guys.